Hey everyone, it's Jenny at JC Cards. Today I have some more heat embossing for you. This month at WOW we have a rainbow theme and I'm going to be showing you how I created this card. It is quite time consuming, just a word of warning. So first of all, I'm showing you all of the embossing powders I'm going to be using to create my rainbow. I'm using glitter embossing colours today, and I'm also going to be selecting a couple of neutral colours, not the two that I showed you here. This is the die set I'm going to be using today to create my card. It's the Polish Papercuts from Altenew. I decided to recreate the card that I made a couple of weeks ago, which I did not do a video for, and I wanted to kind of make it a little different by changing it up and creating a rainbow theme throughout the card layout. So I'm first off going to create some cardstock using my embossing glitters to then die cut from a bit later on. So I will show you just this first panel and then I'll give you a close-up look at the other powders I'm using, but I won't show you this step several times just because I don't want you to get bored. So for my orange, I am using Sunset Boulevard. It's got lots of flecks of gold glitter in it, super sparkly and really pretty. And then on the other half of my panel, I am using Ruby Romance, which is a really nice deep rich red color with red glitter in it. And because I know I'm not going to be using that much of the colors for the die cutting, I'm doing half and half on an A2 size panel of 110-pound cardstock, which I've inked up all over with my WOW embossing ink pad before then heating it up. Normally I would say to heat from the back for embossing glitter, but I was being lazy, so I just made sure my heat gun was good and hot before I then took it to the cardstock, and I didn't have any problems. For my yellow, I'm using Picnic Basket. For my green, I'm using Lime Ricky, which coordinates with the Catherine Pooler ink, Lime Ricky. For my blue, I'm using Pacific Wave. I think this has been discontinued, but there are lots of other blue embossing glitters to choose from. I'm using Sugared Almond for my purple, and then Pink Sherbet for my pink, which has some really pretty holographic glitter in it. Now for my neutrals, I'm going to be using Metallic Silver Sparkle, and then for a slightly antiqued silver look with some big holographic chunks, I'm using Midas Touch. And for this one, I wasn't sure how much I would need, so I actually coated the entire panel with the embossing ink and Midas Touch. And look at that, just love how those big chunky bits of hologram get embedded. Now you definitely will with Midas Touch need to heat from behind, otherwise those chunky bits blow off the minute you hit them with your heat gun. This is a look at the card I told you about that I've made previously, and I wanted to recreate using embossing glitters. And I will show you how not to do it first. So I'm doing this in the similar way that I made my first card, which is not embossed. It is actually direct to paper inking. And there's tons of ways you can use these die cuts. They're super fun to play around with. I kept the layout the same just because it took me a long time to work out how I was going to do it. But honestly, the sky is the limit with this die set. So I tape these down. I'm working in a rainbow color from top to bottom, and you will see that when you add washi tape to embossing glitter, it lifts it off. Not a good idea. It's savable, but just a word of warning, don't tape your die cuts down. I'll show you how I got around it in a little bit later on. For solving this one, I just dabbed it into my ink pad and re-embossed it. I do have a little dish off to the side to keep my little die cuts as I create them, just so they don't get lost. Inevitably, several did get lost and I had to make them again, but that's okay, I had enough cardstock. I'm using a magnetic platform because it goes into my Gemini Junior. You can also get these for other die cutting machines, and these are much handier to use for this kind of technique. I don't need to use any tape that's going to potentially lift off that embossing glitter. If you don't have a magnetic platform, what you can also do is re-emboss over the top of the embossing glitter with clear embossing powder, which will completely seal it in, and then you can add tape over the top, it won't lift it off. I'm going to speed up the creation of this card. Essentially, I am placing all of my die cut pieces onto a white card panel. It's an A2 size panel of WOW embossing cardstock. It's super smooth, bright white, and I've placed it in the center of my craft mat. I'm just using that line as a guide so I can get these all the way down the center of the card. If you don't keep these symmetrical because of the layout that I'm doing, it will be quite noticeable. And what I'm doing is I'm going in rainbow order. I chose which colour I wanted to be the largest focal point, which was the sugared almond. And then working down from top to bottom, I went in rainbow order. So we've gone from the pink to the purple to the blue to the green to the yellow to the orange to the red. And then I've interspersed the Midas Touch and the metallic silver sparkle throughout to act as that neutral base without too many kind of conflicting colours all over the place. But it basically will add dimension, especially where you have the Midas Touch against the metallic silver. They look slightly different and it just kind of creates that dimension without too much kind of colour in your face. But you can do any colours with this. That's the best thing. I mean, this is rainbow theme for the rainbow theme month, but I've already done it with gold and pink. You could do it with all the different colours that are available from WOW. And so I'm adhering these down with liquid adhesive and also foam squares, and in some cases a double layer of foam squares. I'm being careful to use my tweezers just to move them around, because if I get any smudges on that back white panel, it will be quite noticeable. And then so it helps to get the main focal kind of images down the center, and then add those extra pieces in and around wherever I wanted to. And then for my sentiment, there was one little area where the Sunset Boulevard, I hadn't added enough embossing ink and it brushed off, but it's right where I wanted my sentiment. So I handily covered it up rather than re-embossing it again, which I could have done. This is a sentiment from Tailored Expressions, heat embossed in metallic silver embossing powder. And then as a finishing touch, I wanted to bring in some more of that black. So I have some black sequins from Pretty Pink Posh from a mix, and I'm just adding those around. On my first card, I actually used Dream Drops, Nouveau Dream Drops, but I thought the black sequins would work well to tie in that sentiment. And that finishes my card. I do hope you're staying safe and healthy out there. And if you're stuck at home with nothing to do, there's over 100 videos on my YouTube channel for you to enjoy. Be sure to go check them out. Subscribe to hear when I have another video landing. And here's a couple of other ones you might want to start off with. Have a wonderful day. Bye.